I had someone ask me the question, is the raised heel helpful for the knee on squats? Because they said their knees were bothering them and they were trying to figure out what to do, if this would be helpful. And my answer is yes. And so it depends on where you are with your knee, right? So we always want to bring it back and scale it back to what we need in the moment with where our knee's at. So you have to determine that. And I'm going to give you some foundational exercises that you can use to work up to getting the bend in the knee. And then also I'm going to share with you what the reasons would be for deeply bending your knee and how that can actually be helpful for the knee, help heal the knee, and create better function over time and less pain. So first, why would we want to lift the heel on our squat? What is the purpose of that? What's the reason for it? Because up until now, we've really been taught to not bend the knees over the toes, that's bad for the knees, right? I remember when I was in school, that's what I heard. Get those hips back. Do not let those hips go below the knees. But what we're learning now is if we don't put our knees in our full range of motion, then the knees will never be strong in that range of motion, and they're going to be very limited. So the natural way to squat is to bring the knees over the toes, have the chest upright, and to bring those hips towards the heels. And by having something that you can put under your feet that will lift the heel will actually support you and help you with the balance that it takes to actually build that knee strength. And it will allow you to get deeper into the squat or the split squat as well. It's going to really, really help you train your knees to bend so much better. I had knee surgery when I was in high school. I injured my knee and had to have reconstructive surgery when I was a gymnast. And I thought basically my career was over, but I ended up doing a couple more years and getting a college scholarship as a result, because I took a year off. I did physical therapy for a year. And I wish I just would have known about this that long ago. And I could have probably gained strength much faster and gotten back into the sport as well. But I didn't have these tools back then. So now I do. And as a 52-year-old woman, I still had a lot of mobility issues, and I see a lot of clients with a lot of mobility issues. So when our knees aren't able to bend, or we haven't trained them to bend all the way, like one knee bends more than the other, this can create a lot of hip issues, a lot of hip discrepancies that leads into the lower back. So this is where we see all those other things that come from not being comfortable bending the knee. I see many clients that have pain going up and down stairs, and that creates a lot of compensation to get up and down the stairs. So really the key here is to be able to bend the knee properly, right? We want to bend the knee properly so that we don't have pain when we bend our knee. We're not afraid to bend our knee, right? There's not fear around it that we're going to have pain or it's going to be too stiff. And we have to move and contort our body to work around the knee. The knee is strong enough to bend. And I'm going to go over how building the lower leg up can really help support the knee. We want to make sure we build up the lower leg first, so that can support that deeper knee bend. And this is something that many people don't consider as it relates to the knee, as it relates to the pain that they're experiencing or the lack of mobility and stiffness. They don't consider, and I would include myself, for years I didn't consider the magnitude that lower leg strength has on how the knee functions. So what we want to start with is ankle raises against the wall. You can do anywhere from 10 to 20. You can then graduate to a single leg ankle raise against the wall as well. Then you're going to turn around and do your toe raises. The further out you bring your feet from the wall, the harder it's going to be. And this is really going to strengthen that front line, that interior chain line, the front of your shins, the tibialis anterior. It's called the tibialis raise or the toe raise. And it really, really helps with that descension into the squat. So you want to be able to descend into the squat just as much as push up from the squat. And so that's going to help you get down even lower and be strong in that full range. So that's going to be a foundational move for you to build up to that squat, that deeper bend in your knee. The next thing would be to then graduate yourself from the extended ankle raise to the bent ankle raise. And this is going to work more of the soleus, which is a deeper muscle in the calf. And it's going to help you as you bend your knee. It's going to provide the stability to bend deeper and more safely and without pain. So those 3 foundational exercises I would start with, really building up that lower leg. And then you can start with this move, which is a high ATG split squat, which is going to have your foot on a bench or a chair. We're going to start to slowly help that knee move better and really flossing the knee in a way, just back and forth into that knee bend that's not putting a lot of weight on top of it. So not a lot of force. So this is a safer way to start if you do have knee pain. And then as you feel better with this, you can eventually go lower and lower and all the way down to the floor where you can do that ATG split squat. I highly recommend doing it with something under your heel so that you have a little more balance, because you're going to have the tendency to lift the heel up as the knee comes over the toe and your hip comes towards your heel. So have something under your heel to start, and maybe even have something to hold on for balance. That's even better to start. So keep the chest up. You want to bring the knee over the toe. You want to bring that hip towards the heel to get as much of a knee bend as you can. And this is really going to set you up for a deep squat, right? Because we're doing it on either side. And so we're strengthening each side individually so we can bring it all together into the squat. And then when you're comfortable with that, then you can start doing your squats on top of a slant board like I have here. And you can start small with something to hang on to, and then slowly, gradually, just do the body weight squat, keeping the chest up, bring the knees over the toes. And then eventually you can add weight to that. You can counterbalance it with bringing the weight out, and then eventually bring the weight all the way into the chest. So those are my tips for just discovering where you're at with your knee and how you can bring it into your own so that you can have better joints that move really well, that go through the full range of motion, where you can build the strength that's really going to create a solid stability for your knees.